Thanks for having me.
Well, look at that. We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live reality games recap podcast of Survivor New York Season 4 Veterans versus Contenders. God, it's not a tongue twister, but it is a mouthful. And I am so excited that we are here to talk about episode 10 again, the remix, the rewind. I'm sorry, log off of the live HOH competition and tune in to us talking to the wonderful Thomas and the wonderful Kai. But first, the most important person, the reason we all are here and exist as a friend group, it's Chris Lord. Chris, how are you?
I'm great. A third time is a charm, I guess. I mean, 3 in a week. That's a lot for us. We're busy people.
I know. I recently passed 69 podcasts with live reality games, and I was very proud of myself. And this probably put me over to like 100 at this point.
Oh God, that's crazy. God.
We're so excited to have joining us a longtime friend of Chris's, my recent friend, Thomas. How are you?
I am so good. But before we get into the podcast, I would like to say that I am Kai's biggest fan.
Yes.
And so for this occasion, I am wearing my Kai Rob's Goddess t-shirt.
Oh my God.
It literally says Rob's Goddess on there because she should have won.
Wow.
But that's just my opinion.
Rob!
I am shook.
Thomas messaged me and was like, "Do you want to know a secret?" And I was like, "I don't know if I do." And then he sent me a photo, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Kai's merch will be dropping the link below later in the.
I'm speechless, Thomas. That's so cute.
Cool.
I will wear that.
You would. And speaking of which, the Rob Goddess herself, it's Kai. Hi, Kylene. What's going on? How are you?
I'm great. I'm here. I wish this podcast was at a later time. But I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited to chat about the game.
We're so excited too. And everybody is here being very nice. You guys never say this about me, but it's fine. We'll move on.
Naomi and Rob Goddess as well.
Nobody's made t-shirts of you, Naomi, or me. So I mean, this is like
that's true.
And I've known Thomas for a long time, so I'm kind of offended. No, I'm just kidding.
That is amazing. You just made my whole night. I was having such a hard day at work that I was like, I can't even like prepare myself properly for this podcast, and that got me right back on track. I love that.
Well, I loved it so much. I was so excited. I could not wait for this podcast to start. We're going to talk everything about episode 10, but we talked a lot about it yesterday in the amazing Bennett episode. So we're going to talk a lot about whatever this panel wants to talk about. So right off the bat, Thomas, I want to get your reactions to this season as somebody who kind of like has no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
What have you thought so far? We're only 2 episodes away from the end. What do you think?
Okay. If I give my honest opinion, a lot of my favorites went home early. Mm-hmm. And I just think because they were like big personalities and I really liked to cheer for people like Liska, Dresden, Marilyn, like those 3 besides Kai and a couple of the other people I know. I was like, I don't even know these people, but I'm freaking rooting for them and I love them. So as they were getting knocked off, I was like, well, I'm still really invested because the strategy this season is amazing. But you know, I just love their personalities and really love them as like characters and players on the show. So it was like sad. And once the merge hit, you know, it seemed kind of like a downer for a couple of my friends as well. So it's been really interesting and a lot of fun to see the strategy, but also, you know, it's really heartbreaking to see your favorites go home.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I think that's like getting to meet Kai in Survivor Brooklyn South. And I think knowing a lot of people before the game that you know we get to come play. Chris, I don't know if you feel this way. It is always heartbreaking to watch somebody get voted out, especially when you put so much care into getting them there in the first place. It's so hard to see somebody go home. Right, Chris?
I mean, totally, because Survivor New York happened in August of 2019, and I believe in April of that year is when Survivor Brooklyn South 2 happened. So I freshly had in my mind this whole thing of Kai playing the game and winning her season, and Emily F playing the game and doing so well. So they were in the forefront of my mind. Like, I want them to do so well because like I just love them so much as people. Like, I still to this day remember the moment that Kai won and she called her mom that night in the pitch black and she was crying, and I'll never forget that. And it just like they always have a special place in my heart. So like seeing them come out there and like not do so well and be targets and be threats, like even Kai in the merge episodes, like this has never happened to me before. I've never been a target. It was like so fresh for her, and it was like heartbreaking, but it was like almost like a reality check that like not everything can go your way all the time.
Not everybody can be an under the radar Rob queen who wins it all. But yes, hello.
Wait, can you
Kai's
show
mom.
her the shirt?
Yeah, it says Rob Goddess Beth.
And
So funny.
this, I have to say, Kai, like, I know that this was a different journey than I think Brooklyn South 2, but I also, I remember you started winning immunities, and I was like, yeah, that seems like, Kai, the athlete, like, all these things I had learned about you after the game. But then I remembered that wasn't really a narrative that you had in Brooklyn South 2. And I'm curious, like, coming from Brooklyn South 2 to this experience, what were the sort of maybe more positive differences? Like, what did you find was exciting about, like, losing sucks, but what about the other things that are not
yeah. No, yeah, I feel like I went into it with a completely different mindset. Like, oh, Kyle. I went into it like kind of wanting to off the bat play like a more low-key game from the beginning, because I had been a winner, but at the same time, as we all like know or by now, like TJ kind of called me out in front of people saying that I had already won. So it was kind of just like a known thing. And with that, I used that information to kind of try to stay a little bit like on like the I guess the back burner at the beginning of the game. But there were definitely a lot of things that I wanted to do in this game that I hadn't done in the first game that I played in Brooklyn South. Like, I hadn't ever won individual immunity in Brooklyn South. And that was like a major, like, oh my gosh, that's the thing I want to do on Survivor. So I definitely went into it being like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more strategically aggressive. Like, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm okay with being the threat, but I'm also going to just kind of do with all these games, you can really just do the best that you can do with the cards that you're dealt. So I was really excited to get another opportunity to play and just show maybe a different side, because I was kind of, I think, a little bit under the radar during Brooklyn South, and like literally one tribal council, like every other person's name was brought up besides mine. And I remember like somebody being like, oh, Kai, like, how do you feel? Or George was like, how do you feel? And I was like, I'm just not a threat. Like, that's fine. But like, then I came into this game not realizing I was going to be like so on everybody's radar. So, I mean, that was a compliment. So,
yeah.
I just want to, I just wanted to bring
that.
up something super quick.
Yes.
To compliment her game that I thought about earlier today. So Kai played 11 rounds of gameplay. She won 7 challenges. I think it was 7 challenges total, including individual immunity and tribal immunities. And then she got second place in all the other challenges. So she has one of the best track records that I've ever seen, because the two tribal challenges that she lost, one was the knockoff challenge. They lost by 1 point. And then the other one was the very close target challenge. So Kai could have went on a full-on streak, 11 challenges, because then on the merge, the memory challenge, you got second place with Jack. And then this past one, you were 1 point away from winning it. And I say this to myself all the time. If you had won this challenge, I think you would have won the game. I think about it all the time.
I think about it all the time too.
If it wasn't a double elimination. If it wasn't
that's also another reason. Yes. Yeah. That's another. But I think about it all the time. If Kai had won this immunity, I think that would have been enough to get her to the end. I really do. So Naomi, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Me?
No, Naomi had said something. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say that in Brooklyn South 2, I also think that was a game dominated by a lot of people who had a lot of experience in like how to play. And I think that there's something to be said, Kai, for like winning that season, having never played something like this before, because it is always that sort of freshness that is really inspiring, but a lot of people can try and dominate over it and think that you are someone to walk over. And that clearly was sort of demonstrated in the end, like, no, you can't just walk over me. Dan saying, I want Kai on the slide as a gift for my out of office.
It's so funny.
But that's also, like, I think a great testament. This whole season, right? you are like going from the top to the bottom, but you're always having fun. That's what I love about this whole cast.
Yeah.
Is you guys never stop having fun. Thomas, do you have a favorite moment, a Kai-related moment or other from the season that you got to watch so far?
So, honestly, when you won the block immunity, clutch. I like actually cheered because I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And then obviously, like I feel like when you want immunity holding the two, I don't know what that challenge is called. I don't think you necessarily needed it, but the block one I think you needed. So like I was super excited for you. I don't know. I was just excited for that immunity.
Yeah.
I think you should have worked with Marilyn. Just my opinion, because I love her.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Wait, we
The
need to
Maryland
talk about.
vote now
Let's
becoming
talk-
a
let's talk
controversial
about
vote.
that.
Oh my gosh.
I want to talk about it. Yeah, I actually would love to talk about it because that first tribal for blue was so tough. Like, I really didn't want Maryland to go home either. But like, if it were up to me, I would have loved to like rally around the girls and to try to get out Matt. But like going into this game, like my strategy was to surround myself with the people who were seen as bigger targets. And I wanted people to look at the blue tribe and think of Bennett and Kyle first before they thought of me. And so I was working with them, and Matt was a part of that alliance. And it was just so way too early in the game to really make any waves. So that kind of just left Andrea and Marilyn. And I did steer the vote away from Andrea because I had met her with Emily F., my pal from the Pink Tribe, prior to the game. And that was just more just me kind of thinking down the line if there ever were a swap situation or come the merge, if the three of us could kind of powwow and get together as a trio, I thought that could have been really strong. And so it was just like such unfortunate circumstances because I really enjoyed getting to know Marilyn, and I think that she's one of the sweetest, smartest people I've ever met. And I wanted her to stay. I wish I got more time to work with her, but I did feel in like a way I was a big influence on that vote, but like not really by like choice. Like I wanted her to stay so bad. I just like had wished that we could have maybe swung something, but for my game it was too early for me to make any sort of move against one of my own allies, I guess, at that point.
I definitely want to say, Kai, I give you the credit. The two tribals you went pre-merge, you were the sole like starter of the vote train, I want to say, because you put Marilyn's name out there, everyone sort of started to follow behind that. And then when you put Matt's name out there, everybody followed behind it. So I give you a lot of credit that you had a lot of control. Like you and Billy were on opposite ends, but like you guys got what you guys wanted to get done pre-merge in the little bit of amount of times you guys had to go to tribal council. So I want to give you that credit.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think also again not like Survivor Broken South was a season where people were really driving votes and you were kind of there with it, and nobody ever saw you as the threat that you were. And I think it's very interesting because like you have kind of adopted that ability to be large and in charge, but without seeming like you're overpowering, right? Because it is a very impressive ability to not seem like a dominant figure in a social strategic group, right? Because again, TJ, Billy, and Bennett all get taken out before you do. Now, some of that is because of immunity wins, but I would say another part of it is, it is fascinating to me that we got to the merge and nobody said, well, we should put out Kai because Kai is like the center of everything and everybody loves her. Yes. And so I want to talk first of all about just like you coming to play Survivor New York. Like, was there ever a question after Survivor Broken South, like, do I want to do this again? Like, what made you kind of think this is something I want to try?
It was funny because like after Brooklyn South, I was kind of like, well, I should just like tag out while I can, like end on a high note. But it was so much fun. Like that day, seriously, like in my entire life, it is easily like top 5. And I've had a lot of great days in my life. And it's just like, and I feel like I've told you this, Naomi, like I feel, even though these games, there's a lot of lying and backstabbing and, emotions that go along with it, I feel the most like at home in my element when I'm playing these games. And it just speaks to like growing up. Like I was such a huge fan of this game. It was something that honestly like pretty much the only constant like I've ever had like in my life besides my family. And that was something that I shared so much of my life with my family. And like no matter what was going on outside of us, like we would always sit down and watch it together. And it always just meant so much. And to actually be able to do something like this where it's so similar to what's really going on TV, like it was so cool. And like then when I won, I remember being like I've always said I could do it. Like I remember staying up late as like a 10-year-old girl, like after the final tribal council, and being like, well, what would I say? Like what would I'd be like writing out things like, this is what I'm gonna say when I'm at final tribal council. And like I actually got the opportunity to do that, and it just was that moment of like, okay, this is what I love to do. I'm gonna do it again as many times as I can, because it is so much fun and it does bring me such joy. And I meet all of these amazing people. I mean, like half of my friend group or my friends in the city have been made through this community. And I'm so grateful for all of those people in my life now. And it's just, yeah, like I think at first I was like, you know what, I'm going to take my win and, you know, be done with it. But I mean, I had so much fun playing.
Yeah, I love this cute comment from your mom that you had just moved to New York City. And I think that's like such an important, I also moved to New York City and like needed to make a lot of friends, and like it is such an important role. And I love that we got to go back and do Doubt Live in the same park. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, like coming from this to Doubt Live, how was that for you? How do you feel? And I want to know what Thomas thinks as well. Like, how was that game for you coming back into kind of like the vote people out in person universe?
It was definitely, I mean, I had been back to Marine Park because I was on production for the 3rd season of Survivor Brooklyn South. But like that park always like means so much to me. But yeah, I mean, I was excited for Doubt specifically because like it was going to be a different experience for me, because I had dragged my mom along for the ride too. And that was, I think, probably another just amazing experience that I was able to do that with my mom, who I've watched we started watching, at this point I was like 1 year old, but she said like, I started watching the last episode of the 1st season and never stopped. And it's true. Like I've never missed an episode. And to be able to get that experience with her in Doubt was just like a dream come true.
Yeah. And Thomas, how do you think, like, so you got to play with Kai, and I love that because like even though I get to watch everybody, right, and I get to be at all these things, I don't play with people, and it's very different playing with somebody than it is to just watch them. Did you feel like you were watching the same Kai like that you had played with in Doubt Live? Like, do you think it was very similar, or because I would say Kai also got taken out for being kind of a big threat in Doubt Live too.
Yeah. So I saw Kai's 1st season of Brooklyn South after Doubt. After she had told me she had won, I went and watched it. I'm now watching her in this game, and I got to play with her in Doubt. And so I think that her game kind of evolved from the first game that she played in Brooklyn South to when I got to play with her in Doubt. I think that watching her play this game and then playing with her in Doubt, I totally understand like the draw to Kai. So I was fortunate enough in Doubt to be brought to the Heroes Tribe or Saints Tribe. And like Kai and I and Alejandro and I connected really, really well. And there was a part where like I almost used a power to bring Kai and Alejandro to my tribe to help vote to keep me. And I barely even knew her, but I was like, I think I can trust her. And when we ended up getting together in the game, I just feel like Kai and I didn't even get to play with each other that long before I was like, you're my ally. And like, we're going to the end together. And it's just kind of like how she just gets you in. She pulls you in. And I can see that in this game, but I feel like it was even stronger in Doubt. I just think that she kind of just has like the personality to be a really, really, really loyal and great player, but like she's not afraid to make, big moves. And I think she kind of played more like that in Doubt, where she was more confident in her game to like do the big move that was needed to be done. But I kind of saw the evolution, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kai, I'm wondering what you think Did anything sort of translate from Survivor New York to Doubt Live?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in some ways, yes.
The friendships.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, obviously the friends that I made in Survivor New York definitely carried over to the game. But the thing with Doubt is it is a little bit more unpredictable than Survivor, which I feel like was definitely factored in to my game. But I also I think I definitely came into it with a little bit more confidence, just that I could kind of work that social angle, because I knew that I feel like that's what I really like. That is the thing that kind of keeps me together in these games. It helps me get post jury at least, because I'm able to kind of rely on like, okay, I mean, this is just me in everyday life. I like to talk to people. I like learning about them. And I think people, you know, they receive that really well, and they don't necessarily want to get rid of me because they like being around me, and I use that to my advantage, you know. And I think going into Doubt, I was like, okay, like this is it's unpredictable, but I know that I can do it. Like, I know that I can make these connections, even coming in as a threat now, because obviously I'd done Survivor New York as a threat, and I was like, now I can go in there and just kind of play balls to the wall a little bit, and hope that it gets me as far as it can.
Can I say one more thing about like the parallel between two?
You can say whatever you.
So what I think that makes Kai a great player is that in this game that we're watching, Survivor New York and Doubt, she was in the Minority Alliance in both. She wasn't the last in Doubt, but when she got voted out in her elimination, it was like close. They were like wavering of whether or not they wanted to vote out Kai. And I think in Survivor New York, if this was a longer round, I think she had a better chance of surviving. I think because it was a double, they did the easier thing. But even in that episode, they were saying like, I want to work with Kai. I want to like maybe not go to the end with her, but I don't want her out after Bennett. And so I think she had more room to play. And I think that was the same for both circumstances. In Doubt, she kind of like did a big show at the elimination ceremony, which I think would have been the reason. Yeah, but I think like it just shows that she's a good player when everybody's like, I don't necessarily want to get rid of her right now, even though she's in the Minority Alliance and there's other people that they could, you know, knock off. So I just think that's, you know, a good testament to her social game.
Yes, and Kyle points out something that I was sort of hinting at last episode, but there was a lot of opportunities within the Bennett and the Kai vote where things could have gone differently, but we see people like Sarah and I think Paddock and Jack to an extent are trying to keep a stranglehold on what is happening in the game to vote you guys out. Yeah, like to keep a chokehold on Kyle to stop you guys from trying to think about voting anybody else out. Now, Chris, I want to know, we kind of called this the season of duos so far, and Bennett and Kai were just voted out. But I want to talk a little bit about like the Bennett and Kai relationship, because people talk a lot about Kai and Kyle and all this stuff, but I think Bennett and Kai is cute and I love it. And Chris, I think it's cute too. Yeah,
I love
watching it all
I
back.
think
What do you think?
It's definitely one of the cutest dynamic duos of all time. Like I don't know where it started. But it just blossomed into this like really fun relationship, and there's so many cool duos of this season. But that one is definitely one of my top favorites of all time. I think they have like such different personalities in most ways, but the similarities that they do have are just so strong, and that's what brings them together. And like that moment of like Kai confronting Sarah and Alejandro, and she's like pissed and angry. I just love that sort of like behavior coming from her. It was just maybe it was cringy for you, Kai, but I thought it was just so funny, but so like interesting to see that side of you. But I can also see Bennett sort of having that same personality, but he does it a little bit differently.
I was like, we were so hangry, and like at that point, like when you're just lied to over and over again, like it does become like a little like you get on the defense, and like for me, I said, I think in Billy's elimination episode, like I had said, like I've never been through this before. Nobody threw out my name in Survivor Brooklyn South. This is real paranoia. Like I obviously like I always was a little bit nervous going to tribal council in Survivor Brooklyn South, but this was the first time that like I actually like heard my name and I was the target, and I was like, oh shit, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Like, it was kind of, and you know, then I remember, like, I don't know if I did a confessional about it, but I remember at least thinking like, well, I'm just gonna win every challenge then. Like, I was like so mad because I was like, clearly I can't trust anybody at this point, pretty much besides Bennett. And I think that is kind of where our relationship blossomed the most, was when we were on the bottom together, because it was like we both like kind of had that, like, I love Bennett, and like he is one of the, I think, best players of Survivor. Like, he is I respect the hell out of him, and I loved his no bullshit attitude kind of towards like the whole game. And like, we just really, especially in that last episode, we just really thrived off of that, like, well, we have nothing else to lose, like, let's just do whatever we can, like, I don't give a shit at this point, like, let's just do it. And like, that conversation I really loved between us, where we're both walking and we're both super pissed, and we're like, yeah, fuck it, like let's just blow up the game, like, because like we kind of like riled each other up in that moment. And but at the same time, like, he was one of the people like that kept me sane this entire game. Like, I don't think that I would have been able to handle my exit with such grace if I wasn't with Bennett, you know. Like, I knew that, like, going into that the superlatives challenge, like, I was like, okay, well, if I don't win, it's me. Like, that was my mindset. Like, clearly there's like a pegging order, and like we're going out. Like, so yeah, it was just, Bennett just always had my back. I knew that. I don't know if he would have taken me to the end, but at that point, like, we were just on the bottom and just trying to survive the next tribal together.
I think you would have definitely taken it to the end. But really quickly, I want to talk about the idol situation. So the idol fell from the tree. I mean, we've talked about it, I think, before, you and I, like a year or two ago. But can you just like rehash that moment? Like, it was right in front of you. It was yours to take in that moment. Like, you could have easily had it. You had immunity already. You could have, you know, used that in a position to tell everybody that you were going to play it on Bennett, but then you didn't, or you could have actually played it on Bennett. There's so many things that could have like changed the game in that moment. So why didn't you go for it?
I like relived that moment in slow motion, because like I remember it so clearly. Like, I wasn't even a part of like hearing the vote, or the
you weren't a recipient of the clue, but
I wasn't even a part of that.
Yes, all the people who didn't receive the clue just like stood off to the side, kind of like,
well, I was like, well, everybody's running towards the tree, it's got to be at the tree. And then like Paddock was in the tree, and I remember like Bennett like looking back at me like, and I was like, he's not going in that tree, like, I get it. But then like there was so much commotion, and it all happened so fast. But there was like a split-second decision like that I had to make, and I cursed my mother for making me a good person, because I was like, well, that's not mine. Like, this isn't even my clue. But in that moment, then like a second later, it happened so quick. Jack picks it up, and I was like, well, fuck. Like, I should have just picked it up. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh my god! Your mom calling it Catholic
guilt.
Yeah. Going to hell if I pick up the idol. But no, it was definitely one of those moments that I was like I made maybe the wrong move in that split second moment. But it was just kind of like true to, I guess, who I was. Like, I couldn't have changed it, I guess.
I respect that.
Well, I also think that like, in the chaos of that idol fall, like, you don't know where it came from. You don't know if like Paddock like grabbed it and brought it down. Like, I think there was a lot of chaos just like around who even found the idol or touched it. And I think Jack was the first person to kind of realize, I think she just fell on it, and I could take this for myself. Kai, I want to ask, how did it feel winning all these immunity challenges? Because something that you didn't get to do is win an individual immunity, and there's a great moment after you win the push and pull challenge where like George gives you a big hug, and like I love that because it just shows that we all care about how people do in games that go beyond whatever game we create or host. How did that feel, winning multiple immunity challenges? And like, you know, everybody said that like TJ and Billy were comp beasts, and that's fine, but like, you were a proven comp beast. You did it.
Yes.
What was that like for you?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say that those challenges were so well done. They were so much fun to play. Like it's so cool to be able to get that close to something that you've been watching on TV. Like as a kid, like I would like actively try to do the challenges, like watching them on the TV. So it was just those challenges were as close as you're gonna get to the real thing. And yeah, like the challenges are really my favorite part. Like I'm so competitive and I get so into it. Obviously you can see like I get so laser focused, and that's I guess going into the push and pull challenge, the endurance challenge, you know, that was actually the challenge that I lost to
Jordan
in final 3 at Surviving Brooklyn South. And I remember being like so disappointed because I was like, oh, like an endurance challenge, like I could have won that. Like I could have, you know, I could have done it. And I guess going into the challenge, I was like, there's no way I'm not winning. Like I was so like I was manifesting it. I was like, I've already lost this once, like I'm not losing. But then it's funny because going into the wobbly stacks challenge, I remember like rolling my eyes and being like, oh, I'm gonna be shit at this. Like I am so shaky. Like I've barely eaten. I had one of the dozen donuts that I bid like $1 million on in the auction. I was like, I am going to drop right away. And like, I never dropped. Like, I don't even know how I blacked out. Like, I remember at one point, like, I guess like my vision was just like so laser focused, but like I remember like looking at like TJ was off to the side, and I like remember seeing him and being like, I'm gonna do this for all the people that were just voted out because like I need to do this for them. Like I need to get farther in this game. Like they believe in me. Like they're rooting me on. And like even in the episode, I can like see Billy like so nervous by the sidelines, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to do this for them. Like this is, you know, I want to be an underdog and I want to win every challenge. Like I was just at that point, I was like, whatever, I'm gonna do what it takes.
Yeah, and I feel like this game, this whole season was really just like a really fun experience, and I'm so glad that you came out and played because everything is a chance to learn and get something new. And if you didn't get an idol this time, we'll find you an idol in another game. It's fine. We'll get it for you. Thomas will help.
I'll be given an idol in another game.
But so this episode in particular is so funny because you win that challenge, and I want to talk about, because we showed it yesterday, but like the whole Sarah clutching Kyle of it all, of like, no, don't go strategize with the other side. What I have to admire about you and Bennett is you guys kind of correctly perceive that, like, if we just lay out what we're going to do, if we are very clear about who we are targeting so that people like will potentially flip to us. I thought you guys did kind of all the right moves in this instance of like what can draw them over. And as we know, you were pretty darn close to getting them to flip over to your side. It was just a matter of like the time and the conversation, and nobody could really have that complete conversation. I also think you never really see Alejandro have a conversation with you guys, and I'm sure that's like intentional, that like Alejandro is either sticking with Jack and Sarah to make them feel better, or Jack and Sarah are like, Alejandro, let's hang out over here for the rest of the round. Hey, let's not talk to them. Let's not do that. Well, how was that for you? And like this moment of strategy where it's like you have to give it your all and you still might go home and like there's nothing you can really do, but let's try it anyways. How was that for you?
Right. Well, it's funny that you bring up Alejandro because I had multiple conversations with Alejandro. I don't think that they were ever really like aired or like filmed or anything, but I remember like knowing him before the game just because of his reputation as a player. And I was like, I can use this to my advantage. Like, he's going to need a shield. I'm going to need a shield. Like, we are going to be able to work together. And he will be stupid if he doesn't work with me. Like, and I told him that straight to his face. I was like, you realize you're not getting to the end unless you take me. Like I was like, nobody's going to take you. Like, I will take you to the end. Like, but nobody else will. And it's funny because like that, I like didn't really know like if I should in that moment, like, right after Bennett was voted out and right after I lost the challenge, do I turn to Alejandro and break the rules? Sorry, Mom. Like, do I break the rules and be like, just like, you're going to regret this. Like, this is what's going to happen. Like, do I do what Bennett did? Like, to tell Davey, like, this is like, you guys are all going to get voted out right after me. Like, there were so many things that I feel like in that moment I could have like kind of tried. And I also, I mean, I could have voted for Andrea. I voted for Alejandro. But it was just like in that moment, I was like, I was just already so like, well, what do I have really to do? But yeah, there's always like that part of me that's like, I should have pushed a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? In that moment, I thought like, okay, I could convince Kyle, I could convince Davey, but like Alejandro was definitely the person that I needed. And he had already kind of lied to me however many times. So
Yeah.
in that moment, I didn't know if it was really that much worth it, I guess.
Thomas, what would you have done in this situation? Like if you're in this moment, I'm dying to know.
I literally was like sitting here like they're gonna ask me this. I like know it.
I would like to know.
So I don't think that Bennett and Kai did anything wrong. I think that they were like, these are our cards. This is what we're doing. And I think that was the smartest thing. I have opinions about Kyle. They're not bad. I just think that like Kyle should have flipped a long time ago. But that's just my opinion. I mean, obviously there's the rest of the season, so I would love to see it. But I just think that like
the rest of the season, there's 2 more episodes.
Okay, 2 episodes. But I just think that he was in such a good spot where like both sides wanted him. And I think he could have cut out Billy and TJ and then flipped and then like went back and flipped just back and forth. But I think now that he's stuck on the side, it's like weird and whatever. But if I were Kai and Bennett, I think that they played it right. And I'm glad to hear that she talked to Alejandro, because I think like Alejandro was kind of the key to the vote. And I've heard in 2 podcasts now that it was close to flipping, and I don't really think you get that in the episode as much.
Yeah.
And that might have just been like side conversations or what, going on. But I think that Kai and Davey were the key, and it's like, because I definitely see just like a super tight trio with Jack, Sarah, and Emily Paddock. And so it's just hard for me to like watch the other players not realize that they're so strong. And I mean, I could be wrong, and maybe Alejandro, Davey, Kyle, and Andrea team up to get the 3 out, but they just seem like the most solid, unbreakable alliance. And there's like duos out there that could have all come together in like Kyle and Andrea and Alejandro and Davey, and then Bennett and Kai to, at least knock those 3 out and then just do like a battle of the duos. So I don't think they really did anything wrong. I think that they did everything right. It was just convincing those 2 key people of Davey and Alejandro to do the flip. Were they the ones that were like contemplating doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were those 2. The thing was like that only, I think, not everybody knows, because, we don't get every conversation,
right,
possible, because, we don't have that many cameras. But it's like, at that moment, Alejandro and Davey truly and fully believed that the final 4 would be the 4 pinks. So for them, they knew that inside that 7, there was this pathway to get to the final 4. And they were just so like thrilled by the fact that at least they would get to the top 4. And Sarah and Jack, maybe they're, telling a lie to them. I don't know. Or, there's just all these different pathways that people are playing. Like there's a final 4 with Jack, Sarah, Paddock, and Kyle as one. And then they're also with the 2 pinks. So it's kind of like, who's really with who?
Which is so fair. I mean, as a viewer, I see like all the confessionals. So I like, it's clear to me where loyalties lie. And maybe Sarah and Emily's relationship didn't come off as strong as it does in the episode. Like I see them as like a duo every episode I watch, but that's just because I see the confessionals where they're like, they're BFFs. So maybe that didn't come across as strong as a player.
I think there's that one moment before, I think it's the Bennett vote out, where like Kyle is talking to Davey, like right as they're walking in, and they're like, are you going to do Jack? Are you going to do Jack? And like, they're kind of trying to suss it out. And I think it's this weird mix of like, they were going to flip, but then they were thinking about flipping to Jack, and Jack had the idol, and it wasn't a great plan. And then it was like too late. Like it was this weird moment where like the plan was kind of coming together, but it wasn't going to work. And then it was like, time's up. You got to stop. Like, and that's I think the unfortunate thing about Survivor New York is like, you really don't have that much time to like think about something, sit on it a little bit, eat a plate of rice and then come back and think about it a little bit more. Like you just got to go. And I do think it's like a little obvious there, but I agree. I think as the time goes on, you see Sarah and Paddock, and I was like Andrea really sticking to each other. Andrea talks about it. She wishes that she could work with Kai as like a, girls to the end, but then she's like, Kai's going to fucking beat me. So what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
But I would have loved to see that like dominant for like Women's Alliance. Like,
I know.
that would have been great.
Yeah, I was actually like for Kai, I was like really curious why you picked Jack as the target, because like there was talks of like Emily being kind of chaotic at the beginning of the merge, and then Andrea at some point, Kyle was like, I want her gone. So why was Jack the person you decided to land on for you and Bennett?
I feel like it was because he just found the idol, and we were like, oh, he won't play it because he feels like there's 2 against however many. So I think that was the reason. I mean, Bennett, if he's in there, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were also just kind of fighting for our life at that point. We were grasping at straws, and we were like, this is what I guess like we can all agree on, we being like me, Bennett, Kyle, and Davey, like that's who we all, I guess, agreed upon in the moment. But yeah, I mean, in hindsight, like, yeah, he had the idol, he played it, like that was stupid. But like, I mean, I had just kind of been like, as long as we try to establish more of an alliance with Davey and Kyle and Alejandro, like that's what I really wanted out of that vote. Because I wanted to work with them. Like I had been wanting to work with them for so many votes now, and like it kept being like, oh well, we're close. And like, I mean, Davey in like a previous episode was like, I'm voting with you, like you'll see, I have a heart next to Andrea's name. And I was like, I didn't see no heart, like you didn't vote with me, like, you know. But it was just like I kept having this faith in them that I was like, well, they're eventually gonna work with me, you know, like. And it was just kind of like me just being like, well, let's try again, you know.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question about the superlatives. Do you remember who you wrote down as who you never want to see again?
No, I don't. Oh, I don't actually remember who I maybe put Jack or Andrea. I don't know. I don't think I put down Andrea though, because I remember in like her little like when she was voting for me, she was like, I'd love to like hang out with you unless you were one of those bastards that was.
I love
like,
that.
I honestly, I feel like that's like such a hard question to answer. But I mean, I hadn't talked any game at all with Jack at that point. So I think I actually probably put Jack just based on that. But I mean, I'd love to hang out with everybody at any time.
I just put you on the spot because I just remember at Tribal Council, when I asked that question, you were like, oh my God, this is like the cruelest question possible. And I had mentioned that something that the person that got the same thing from season 3 kind of had a situation about it and was upset. And I just remembered that. I just thought it was interesting. But what did you get voted for in the Superlatives? I can't remember. Does anybody remember what Kai got?
It's interesting because I should remind you guys that like we did this, we handed everybody in the merge tribe in the morning this survey. So everybody did the survey in the morning, and
like it was like the merged tribe, right? It was before Billy. Yeah.
So you had to think about like what everybody was thinking at the merge and not necessarily at this point in the game, which I do think is more difficult to sort of get a grasp on, but then you also can kind of talk to people. TJ says most likely to win the game. Does that sound about right, Kai? That you were most likely to win the game?
I'm pretty sure she got that.
Yeah.
I think it was the eye candy too, with TJ and Bennett. I remember being really proud of that.
With half the cast,
Yeah, that was the other one.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think I got anything. Again, I kind of feel like I was a little under the radar, like going into merge. I was then just targeted because I was a part of that 4 that didn't go to that merged tribal council. But I thought I did a pretty good job kind of like not drawing attention to myself for a long time there. I mean, I thought it was so funny, like that people like watching it back, like I'm like, why is everybody like so mean to Bennett? Like, why do people think that he is like this powerhouse of like, I mean, not that he's not, but I was like, it's funny because like he didn't really sway the Maryland vote. Like he didn't like, and I mean, Bennett made some great moves, but I was like, I was doing all of that and nobody's saying my name, and it just ended up working out.
Yeah. Well, something else I kind of wanted to talk about is like, something that's funny, Sarah pointed it out to me, is that if you look at this episode, Davey and Alejandro consistently turn behind them to see what Sarah and Jack have put on their boards.
Mhm.
And it's very funny to like kind of see that they're kind of throwing it in a way to make Davey and Alejandro think that they're like solid. And like, again, we will see how this all shakes out, because I do think that this next episode is really pivotal, and we don't know how it's gonna go. Everyone doesn't have an answer, but like it is this really interesting thing where like I think Davey and Alejandro were trusting a gut instinct, and we don't know how that pays out for them, because it's all about like, do I flip with these people who, as we saw with Bennett in the last episode interview we did, Bennett's like, I'm not gonna take Davey and Alejandro to the end. So I love them, and I think that they're such smart players that they are really thinking about every potential opportunity in this game, and that was one of them. Obviously, they should have flipped so Kai could win the game, but I mean, that's just their mistake.
Rob got
That's just my personal opinion, but I guess.
Yeah. So Kai, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna talk about the Matt vote for a second, and I want to hear all of your thoughts on the Matt vote.
Since it's such a huge topic of conversation.
The most controversial vote of the whole season, and like there was a double idol play. Like, okay. So Kai, talk to me about this vote from your perspective.
Yeah. To be completely honest, like out of all of the things that I could regret in this game, getting out Matt that vote, like just isn't at the top of my list. I mean, like, again, this is going back to my strategy of like wanting to surround myself with people who were perceived as bigger targets than I was. And I, in reality, like I thought that TJ was probably one of the only people that, that would take me to the end if he had the chance.
Yeah.
And like, of course, like Matt was loyal to me, like at that vote in the moment, but it wouldn't have made sense for Matt to take me further down, or to work with me further down the line, or to keep me around further down the line. Like I thought that I could build a stronger case for Billy or TJ to keep me. And that's just kind of like how it went. Like I mean, and another factor was like Matt, I remember like kind of planting myself with Billy and TJ. Like I was like, I'm going to stand here with them. Like I'm going to try and work with them. Like these are the people that I want to commit to with Bennett. And like Matt was ping ponging around like the entire whatever conversations were going on. And in my head, I'm like, well, if this is another situation that happens in the future, how easy is it for somebody to be able to like to sway Matt into voting somebody like me out? And so like at that point, that was like when you saw like me go over to Bennett and be like, well, can we just do Matt? Like this is, I mean, like, I guess I could have tried to push harder for Jack, but like at that point I knew that I kind of had to prove my loyalty to Billy and TJ, who were the ones that I ultimately wanted to work with. And yeah, like at the end of the day, like that was what I thought was best for my game. And like the people who have like different opinions than that, like also have to acknowledge that I may be a different player than you. And like, I may be making different moves than you that like, and like, I don't know, like at the end of the day, like we're all fans of Survivor. Like we can all respect just making moves that you feel are best for you with the information that you have at hand. And that is what I did. And like, do I think like voting out Matt was so detrimental to my game? Like, no, I don't. Like not grabbing that idol was, or not winning, not putting 55 or whatever I was supposed to put and winning that immunity. Like that would have been like, that's more like what I can't sleep over than like voting out Matt. Like I kind of wanted to get him out like the first, and this is nothing against Matt, but I was like,
I know it's so funny because what the guy who like absolutely is there to have fun, and like he doesn't, like, it's so funny to me that Matt out of all people is like,
and I love Matt. Like I had so much fun playing with him. Like it was never anything personal against him, but like for me, like, I mean, I even watched one of his confessionals. Like I knew he was smart. Like I knew he knew the game. Like he had said like, well, Kai has won before. Like, so I don't know how long like he said that. And I was like, well, I don't regret voting him out then. Like he had me on his radar. So like, I don't know. Like I don't think that was I mean, would I have gotten farther if I had kept Matt in the game? We'll never know, but I did what was best for me in that moment for my game. So that's all I can really say about that.
Yeah. So, Thomas, I want to know how you feel about this, because Unexpectedly, a controversial vote, aka not controversial at all for the people who play the game. But I'm curious from your perspective if you think whether or not this is actually a moment where like Kai and Bennett lost the game, or what's on your mind regarding this vote?
So I don't actually think that moment is the reason why Kai and Bennett lost the game. I actually supported the move. My biggest philosophy when I play, orgs or live games is that if I truly trust individuals who come from another team or another tribe, the most important way that you can prove your loyalty to them is cutting somebody who might be perceived as someone good for your game, but like probably isn't. Like Matt and Kai weren't like, it would be different if Kai cut Bennett, but she didn't. She cut Matt. And so I think the best way to prove to people who weren't on an original tribe as you is to cut somebody who is perceived to be a number for you. And I think that solidified, I would rather be in a minority alliance that like fully trusts each other and like will do whatever for each other than to just be like floating around in a majority alliance, not really knowing where my position is. So I support the move. I think it brought all four of them together as like a strong unit. And, that actually might have been their downfall, is like their strong tight alliance rather than the map vote. I don't think that was controversial at all. And also, I was tired of women being voted out, so I was happy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Break the cycle. Come on.
I mean, I really think it comes down to like, I love Billy, but his decision to cast off Sarah and Jack and leave that foursome together, it really alienated them into this corner that the four big threats are all together and they're right there. And the seven of us, we can set their sights right on them and pick them off. And that's exactly what they did. Right. I just wish that he had picked like one of like Kai or Bennett, and then the other one was Sarah Jack, and then really split it up. And I think the whole entire game would have been different. And I think even he would have went further.
Well, I just want to say
my mom's panning Thomas in the comments, not even cheering for me, but she's like, Thomas, yeah.
Well, I also think, Kai, I'm curious if you had, because Billy put a lot on his own shoulders to be the tribe leader in this moment. If you were the tribe leader, do you think you would have made the same decision?
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. I was not putting myself up as tribe leader. I looked directly at TJ. I looked directly at Bennett. I looked directly at Billy. I was like, y'all can figure it out because I'm not doing this. Like, I wanted the least amount of heat on me. I get like, in an ideal world, I probably would have like wanted us four to get together. But at the same time, I do see the advantages of maybe splitting us off with, if that was me, I maybe would have done like Billy or Sarah or like whatever. Like I get the advantages of doing that, but at the same time, in that moment, that is such a hard decision to make. And like, I think that he just felt good with us, and I was glad that I was on that tribe with them. Like, we had so much fun, and it was, even though it could have maybe been our downfall, like I don't think that was a bad decision for Billy to make. Again, like, yes, it goes back to, you can only do what you think is best for you in that moment. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I also want to talk just briefly about like your, like, the goofiness of your tribes, because I loved, first of all, I loved the jam session. We don't talk about this enough, I think, but like you all guys like drumming out, and like you really took the lead on the song, Kai. It's one of my favorite moments from the whole season. Like, you guys just decided, we should start singing. And I think that tribe in particular is a really goofy and fun tribe, and like chaos ensuing is what we want. We want the drama. I don't know why we're complaining. I love the drama. Like, I enjoyed every second of it. I have a question for you about the auction, actually, because you bid on the donuts that didn't have anything in them, which is such a shame.
Nothing.
But did you?
I like panicked. Oh my god!
I know.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Sorry.
I'm curious if you figured out that we were putting things in the food rather than putting things at the end of the game, or if you had just kind of been like, you know what, I really want 12 donuts right now.
that you're not gonna share. That you're not gonna share.
No.
I think I had like a half a donut. I was so pissed off. Okay, yeah. So honestly, yeah, I was catching on. I had seen Emily get something right next to me with her goddamn honey bun that was attracting all the bees.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I see Davy on my right get it, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna bet. I remember thinking like, I'm just gonna bet on the next thing I can see. Like, I'm just gonna get it. And I, yeah, like in hindsight, like it was sealed. Like it was just a box of dozen donuts. I had probably a half a donut because at that point I was just like, well, and I don't know, like obviously I do. She wanted 12 donuts. Thanks, Mom. I probably would have eaten them all. But no, I mean, yeah, like at that point I was just like, I mean, also another thing too, I don't think people get my sarcasm sometimes. Like I say it like there's like a few moments that people like kind of take me seriously. Like people thought that I really wasn't going to share all those donuts. And then people thought that like
funny because you're like, not only is it like it's Kai and you're already like pretty tiny and it's like, who has room for 12 donuts
after eating like nothing the day before? Yeah, I was like, whatever. But yeah, no, in that moment, I just kind of panicked and I was like, I'm just going to get it and hope that there's something on the bottom, the top, like whatever. Like I need an advantage like at this point. Meanwhile, Bennett's giving me like a death stare the whole time because he's making me watch Davy. And I'm like, I don't know. Like that auction was just very stressful because, you know, that was right when Billy was voted out. And I was like so upset about that because that was kind of like the beginning of the end for us. I felt like, guys, I didn't eat the donuts.
Donuts, the breakfast of champions.
Bennett just wanted
it's
like.
So funny. It's also interesting that the fact that the box was sealed actually played like a small role in people's thought process. They were like very quick to write off Kai, like, oh, she doesn't have an advantage. Anyone who had a bag, they had thought that there was an advantage. So it was like kind of sad because looking back, I wish I had opened the box so that you could have potentially had said, yeah, there was an advantage in here, and I it's in this box or something, you know. But because it was sealed.
I'm so tired of all these fake Survivor players because they pick up on the littlest fucking thing that I don't.
It was Sarah. It was Sarah.
That was
Clever.
so
It's
smart.
very clever.
Though.
Yeah.
Sarah knew that the sticker was sealed, and she called it out, and everyone was like, "Okay, Kai has nothing. Don't worry about Kai. Let's move on to Davy here."
Even if Kai did find something,
the idiot who got the sealed box of 12 donuts.
Even if Kai did find something, though, I think like Sarah, that observation is so smart. Even if you like, especially if you use it to target Kai, like it was sealed. She doesn't have anything. Let's get her out. So I think that it was just like brilliant. I was like, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
No, it was super
Wait,
smart,
I have a question for Kai. Okay. Did you ever
loaded?
Did you ever?
I don't know what to do. I can't wait.
I'm trying to think how to phrase it. Was there ever like a moment that you looked at Kyle as more than a friend out there? Because I love you guys so much, and I thought like it would be the most perfect world if you guys had like met on Survivor New York, got married, like I don't know. You don't have to answer that, but you don't have to answer it. But it's just, I think you guys are the cutest thing.
I'll answer it.
I'll raise it with this question, Kai. I think that there's a lot of funny moments in the merge where you are very much utilizing your relationship with Kyle to not get voted out, to try and get him to flip to your side or just like keep you safe or whatever. So talk to me about it from that perspective. I want to know,
your favorite moment, Naomi, is the fact that they were literally this close away from each other.
I texted Chris and I was like, save room for
They
Jesus.
were talking that closely.
Well, I think, Naomi, is that the one we watched together? I remember being like, do we kiss?
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember that. Yeah, no, I mean, Kyle and I had a very strong connection from the beginning of the game. Like, he was the very first strategic one-on-one conversation that I had with anybody, and like I don't know, we vibed very well, and like I trusted that he had my back and I had his, and I think that the first true test of that trust was actually that Billy vote out. because like, yeah, like you can definitely sense the tension in that episode because we both are kind of like, oh shit, we have other allies now. And like, yeah, I got in his face because I was like, what the hell? Like, you said like you had a crush on me, obviously. Like, why are you gonna change your mind now? But no, I mean, it was. I do think that he did deflect that like my name off of the chopping block for that vote. I mean, unfortunately, it landed on Billy, one of my other allies, but I do give him credit for that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I trusted him. Like I had his back, and like, do I think that he would have actually taken me to the end? I don't. Like if I were in his position, I probably wouldn't have. But like I can be very persuasive. Like I remember like there is not in like an aired version of this. I don't know if Kyle's still in the comments, so I'm just gonna spill the tea. But like he was just like, I just want to say like I have such a crush on you, and I was like. Oh my God, Kyle! Like it's so flattering, and like I do love Kyle. We text all the time. He is like so sweet, and like we both listened to the Survivor International podcast, the recaps of Survivor New York.
Survivor Cast International.
And it's funny because like on one of the episodes, I think the most recent one, it was like they were talking about like, oh, like I just want Kai and Kyle to like run off to the Bahamas. Sorry, Kyle, called you out. But I texted him that. I was like, oh, LOL, like, when are we running off to the Bahamas together? And I don't know if anybody watches OBX, like Outer Banks on Netflix, but that second season just came out. And they like go and run away to the Bahamas, basically.
Oh,
and he was
so
like,
funny.
we could be John B. and Sarah. And, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't live near me. And I haven't seen him in 2 years, so...
You know what's funny? I was like, I wonder. I have once we talk to Kyle, I have to know if that played any role in his game being sort of attracted to somebody, because you go into these games like live games and you never think, oh, I'm gonna find someone attractive and that could play a role between my heart and my head, because you're a very pretty girl. You're very like you always smile. You're very likable. You're very approachable, and it's like. How did that affect Kyle's game? I mean, obviously it affected enough to like he was gonna push and fight for you, and he would never. I don't think he would have voted for you, and I think he would have taken you very far if he could have. So I'm curious if that like how much that really played into his game and how far he would have taken you.
Yeah. Thomas, do you ship it? As like. You're the sort of tastemaker for Kai, right? You sort of were the gatekeeper.
I would say no, and the only reason why is because, and Billy can attest to this, I tell Billy all the time that I have the biggest crush on Kai. Oh, and I've had the biggest crush on Kai for a very long time, and I'm gay as gay.
I'm telling your boyfriend.
I'm gay as gay.
I'm telling your boyfriend.
I'm gay as gay.
I am
but I have a crush
Thomas.
on Kai, so I do not ship it.
Me and my mom have a crush on Thomas, so it's fine.
It's funny because the gays love Kai, the theys love Kai, the girls love Kai. So it's like, Kai, you have out there.
Just parv.
No, but I will say though, I do wish that Kyle would have stuck with Kai, and you can ask him that question next episode when he gets voted out. Don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that.
I feel like I just freaked out for a second. I was like, who gets voted out? And I was like, oh wait, hang on. The gays look kind of nice. I love what Chris says. An absolute banger of a catchphrase. Well, Kai, I want to know, like, for you, after playing this game, like as much as I feel like Survivor Broken South was a great experience and is like a win, like I feel like you had so much more control and opinion in this game. Mm-hmm. Not that you didn't have any of those things in Brooklyn South, but like you didn't have like the Dave Holdsworth there being like, all right, I'll take you to the end. I'll take a bullet for you. You know, like it was a lot more sort of complicated than that. And I'm curious for you, like what, how you felt sort of coming out of the game. Did you feel sort of satisfied with like the strategic element of your game? Was that something that you took, like, you know, there are pros and cons, but you walked away feeling pretty good about it? How was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was so proud of the game that I played. Like, I went into it definitely being like, you know, I want to play and I want to win, but at the same time, like I want to make these, I want to play like as if I, was somebody that I was rooting for at home. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, because I think people would maybe have rooted for me in Survivor Brooklyn South too, but I wanted to be, and it ended up just being like, oh, like she's the underdog. So like, I feel like I was kind of rooted for then. And like, that sucked for me though. But I was like, I want to make bigger moves. I want to be the person that's pulling the strings in the background, but I want to do these Survivor bucket list things. Like I wanted to win an individual immunity, like, and it was like one of those like very, like, obviously with that vote, I mean, you can see like I'm a little bit like, okay, well, I know it's coming, like I know that I did my best and that's all I could really do. And I was really proud of the game I played. Like, I don't know. That's all I can really say. Yeah. Like, I just remember being like it was just like such a bittersweet moment getting voted out, because I was like just so happy, because I was like, I think I did so good and like made all these friends. And like, I think that I did all these great things in this game. Like, and even though I lost, like, I'm just so happy to be here. Like I was like, I don't know, like I'm one of those people that I'm just always just happy to be here. Like I'm happy to have this opportunity. And like, I don't know, like, yeah, there were definitely things that I took away from it that I couldn't have taken away in my game with Survivor Brooklyn South. So
yeah,
that I'm proud of that.
And let me tell you, your mom is proud of you, although I feel like she's probably more proud of Thomas, but just for Thomas.
Yeah, she didn't grow Thomas in her belly, okay?
That's so funny. Kai, do you remember, like, without spoiling anything, it's not really a spoiler, but like after you're voted out, do you remember like having any memories of that, like before the next tribal council, like any conversations, like anything like that? I know it's been 2 years, but I'm curious. Something.
Yeah, especially like the four of you get voted out back to back. How was that?
Right. Well, actually, it's funny because, I mean, Bennett and I, like, you can see at the end of the episode, like, we're like, let's go take a shower, and Bennett pulled me aside right away. And he's like, Davey and I are best friends. And I was like, you bitch. I was like, you're kidding, right? Like, that was one of the very first things that I remember, like, finding out about Bennett. He was like, we're actually best friends. Like we've been playing it, like, down, but like, I've kind of been, like, working with him, but, like, also, like, screw him. Like, let's just go take a shower. And I remember like getting to I knew that they were like the three people that were on the jury before me were kind of rooting for me to win that last challenge. And I just remember I kept making eye contact with Billy, who's like now, like, he's like my soulmate. Like Billy is one of my best friends. And I just remember like looking at him like constantly, and he was just like, you got this, and it was fun. Like it was fun with those. The four of us, like, we were obviously the people that were in that the like swapped third tribe that won that challenge. So like it was kind of expected, but at the same time, yeah, we all, like, I think we could all just say, like, we were really proud of each of our own individual games, even though it didn't turn out the way we wanted. And we all kind of had that I guess, like, humility of like, okay, we played the best that we could. And this is just where we ended, and let's have fun with it now.
Yeah.
Poor White Claws deep.
Yeah. That was, I just remember passing you guys, and you all had like one White Claw in your hand. I was like, guys, can we just have like one before the final tribal council? And then I definitely realized at some point that you guys had way more than one. And I was like, well, I tried. Moving on. Like, all right, I tried my best.
Sorry.
Thomas, any other thoughts on like the game, the experience, getting to watch Kai? Like, and I think especially for you, you had gotten to meet like Alejandro and Billy and TJ obviously invited you to the game, but like, and Kai as well, and Davey at the game of Doubt Live, but there's all this history before it. Now you finally get to kind of see the history play out. What was that like for you? What do you take away from it all?
So let me tell you this. I worked with pretty much every single person in Survivor New York without even knowing they did a whole season together. They did a really good job at, like, in doubt, not indicating like, oh, by the way, we just all competed together on another show. I literally texted Chris and I was like, by the way, I just competed in Doubt and I was aligned with almost every single person from your show. So that's cool. No, it's super fun. You know, like obviously I get to see like my friends in a game, which is like really cool and exciting. What I really like about the season is like your cast is so good. So like even though I know like a lot of people who are competing, there are so many other people that I'm cheering for and like looking forward to seeing their game evolve and like watching them play, which is super exciting to see as well. But yeah, no, I mean like out of the people that I know, sorry everybody, like Kai was a standout of the, you know, people that I knew competing. I had so much fun cheering for her. I cheered for her when she won her immunities. I was like screaming at my computer when she didn't grab that idol, and that's the difference between her and I in our gameplay. I would have grabbed that shit and ran away. But
Saint sinners.
and that's why we were on opposite tribes in Doubt. But no, it's super fun to watch. I also host my own live game that Chris played and won, so it is like cool to cheer for and support other games as well as like watch my friends play. It's super fun and exciting.
Yeah, and TJ says, and me. No, TJ, no, we worked with you in that
I
game.
like
Go
feel
away.
like there's more love.
You know what?
There's more love in the comments for Thomas and my mother than there is for me.
Thomas,
The
This
biggest
is
regret in-
exactly how I feel.
The biggest regret
Thomas.
in my life is voting your mom out. Just saying.
Aw.
Like honestly,
I
that is one of the
know.
biggest
Yeah, I
things.
could have told you. Oh,
Two
Kaya.
things really quickly. Number one, Thomas, don't
Yeah.
you think Kai would be amazing at the Ultimate Challenger because it's so challenge based?
It's challenge based. You would.
So
win
I
that.
think she would kill it because Ultimate Challenger is such a great live reality game. I wish that you really had put like more time and effort. I know you're a lawyer and everything now, Thomas, so it's like you have like really no time for it, but it's like, you know, it's a great concept. It's mixing Survivor, Big Brother, and the challenge, and it's more about what you can do to your limits than about like so much social and strategic ability. So if you're good at challenges like Kai, you can do really well and not have to worry so much on the strategy portion.
So I will say this, and I don't want to take over your podcast. I'm sorry. Your season is
Please.
completely edited, so that's coming out soon.
Okay.
And season 3 is going to happen probably next year, and it's
Oh,
going to
yeah,
be better and bigger and with a better budget. So
That's fine. I'm happy.
I
for
can't
you
wait to watch
promote that.
Macho Chris. Oh my god. Like buff Chris. Come on,
Macho
winner.
Chris.
Come on, winner at it. I can't wait.
And number two thing I wanted to say was, as soon as I heard that Beth had played in Doubt with Kai, first of all, I was jealous. And second, I said to Naomi right away, I was like, okay, Blood versus Water 2, is this an idea? Because this is like, it would be too perfect not to have them play.
Yeah, I
Survivor
can't believe we
game.
like got a Blood versus Water out of the way, and then like we kind of have another Blood versus Water like right in front of us. It's like hilarious to me.
And I
That
don't
there's-
care if people know that if it's a spoiler, like if we ever did it again, like it's not going to be for a while anyway. But like to have them play a Survivor together, I think would be so cool.
Beth, you hear that? I gotta convince Beth. That is the one to convince.
she will play. 100%.
Folks, sound off in the comments if you want Beth to play Survivor.
The reason
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I didn't get third boot on Doubt is because of your mom, and I will always be like, we were allies, girl. We were like, so.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite votes, and I love.
She's a hit.
Thomas never got to use his power where he like wanted to call people over, but you would always ask about it, Thomas. And I remember being like, I just want you to use it for the fun of it. Like I just want to see it played.
Well, the
like,
last round was when Mark like
self-inflicted. Yeah,
volunteered.
yeah.
And I was gonna play it. I would have pulled Claire, who's on Big Brother now. I would have pulled her and Billy, so it would have been iconic. But
That'd have been really funny. I mean, the survivors of the block in general, I can't believe it. And every day we say, please, nobody nominate Claire for Big Brother. So, Kai, I want to know from your perspective as like a juror, not to give anything away, but like when you are on the jury now, because you've never gotten to do this before, what do you want in a winner? What are you looking to prioritize in like somebody who gets to the end? Is it a strategic game, a social game, a challenge game? What do you prefer in a winner?
I mean, to me, like I respect like any game that you just gave your all. Like that is my number one thing. Like I want to be able to see like you put in the work. And I think in this particular season, everybody did that. Like everybody, I think, had that fire lit under their ass to play this game the best that they could. When it comes down to it, though, like even though you as somebody who's playing the game has like a good idea of who is making the moves, who's the best strategic player, who's the best at physical challenges, until you get to that final tribal council and they explain themselves, I feel like the vote should be up in the air, because it's like, okay, we could all have a perception as the jury, we could have a perception of somebody and they can explain their game to a T. And this is exactly what I tried to make you think of this, and this. And yeah, I don't want to give like any spoilers, but it's also just like, I do respect a game that you can kind of back up and you can say like, these are specific examples. Like, it's almost like I want an essay. Like I'm the annoying teacher that's like, I want examples. I want proof. Like, I want to see like you fight for your game in that final tribal council. I think that is really what it comes down to. And yeah, like, I don't know, like I do like love this game so much. So at the end of the day, like I always like respect the hell out of the people that make it to the end, because I feel like that is, you know, more than half the battle. Obviously, like that's a tough sell. So
yeah. And I think like it's a fair point, because when we're going to vote, we just want to vote for somebody who like cites their sources and gives good examples as to why they deserve to win. And we have an amazing final 7, lest we forget. We have Alejandro, Davey, Kyle, Paddock, Sarah, Jack, and Andrea. And any one of them, I think, has an opportunity to take this game. And it's just a matter of who gets to the end. Chris, is there anything else? I think I know the question you're going to ask, and I think I already know the answer, but I think you should ask it anyways.
Would you play again, Kai?
Oh,
Was that the question? Because I don't know.
Absolutely.
Always the question.
Absolutely, I would play again. Yes, I will play again and
again. Would you vote out Matt again?
Would you vote out Alex? If you're on an all-star tribe with Alex, would you vote him out? Yes or no? No explanation.
Don't answer that. Don't answer that. He'll never forget it. Hilarious.
Alex needs to stay out of my business. He needs to leave me alone.
Yeah. So, guys, this is so exciting. Thomas, thank you for being here. Are there any other thoughts? Anybody? Okay, now that Kai is gone, who are you rooting for to win? I mean, basically, if you don't pick Alejandro or Davey, they're going to come for you in your DMs. So,
well, I didn't vote for Davey. I didn't vote for Davey to win Doubt. So that's my. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I want.
Or Sarah. Sarah played Doubt live too. Sorry, Sarah.
I voted for Sarah.
Queen.
So I probably am cheering for Alejandro. I don't think he'll win, sadly, just because I don't think he'll get to the end. I think he deserves probably out of everybody the win. Davey's playing a great game. I can see him sneaking by. I'm cheering for Alejandro, I think. Yeah, cheering for Alejandro.
Yes. And
I think at one point Kyle was playing the best game, and I don't think he is anymore after letting like people that he could have worked with go. I think he could have flip-flopped back and forth and both sides would have forgave him and he would have been fine. I'm a flip-flopper. I play both sides. I didn't do that in Doubt, but I do that in a lot of games. And I think he could have done it flawlessly, but he didn't. And I think that'll be a downfall in his game. But if he wins, I hope he messages me on Facebook and says, F you, you're wrong.
F you, go home, goodbye.
Go home, you're wrong, bye.
Oh my God.
Period, exclamation point.
Wait, if Kyle wins, can you make a t-shirt of him on it?
I will promise that if Kyle wins, I'll wear a t-shirt that says, he robbed the goddess, winner.
I love it.
I will do that.
I love that.
Oh man. Well, Kai, it has been a pleasure. Luckily I got to see you a little bit, but like I miss you, and I'm so glad that this experience has come out and that people are on the Kai Stan train as much as the rest of us are. And I hope that you have enjoyed overall getting to watch the whole calamity of a season back.
I mean, it's so funny because I will be like in bars on a Saturday night and I'll be like, have you ever heard of Survivor? Like, I'm in this like live game. You guys have to go on YouTube and like check it out. And like it's so funny because I've gotten so many of like my friends to just like watch episodes with me, and everyone's like you're so into this. Like this is a different. It is like it's one of those sides to me that I think is like unique. And you meet me, and I don't think that people really expect me to be this like nerdy Survivor girl, but it's like one of the biggest parts of who I am, I think. So I mean, again, like thank you, Naomi and Chris and all of production and Thomas, obviously. Like just everybody for making this possible. I mean, I don't want to sound like cliche, but like it is a dream of mine to be on like the real Survivor, and like to just get this experience and to do it. It feels it's one of those things that like I can't even explain. Like it's just so much fun, and I always just have such a good time. And like, I know you guys put so much into it, and like your efforts don't go unnoticed. Like it is so much fun. Those weekends are my favorite weekends.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Yeah.
yeah.
You take the risk coming to us. And did you get your Boston Rob rule book from Survivor Cast International? Did you receive their book that they were trying to send you?
I don't think so. I honestly like I don't know if it's coming in. Like I don't check my mailbox a lot, but like if it were a package, I get like a notification. I haven't gotten that notification yet, but still waiting. But like honestly, I do love shout out to the podcast because I feel like they put a lot of effort.
They love you. Yes.
I love them. They're funny. Yeah. I like them a lot. I like listening to the episode, like to get an outsider's perspective, like on the daily about the episodes. It's fun. Cause like, obviously, especially in those earlier episodes where I wasn't going to tribal. Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
She said you never know.
This is how I know your Gen Z is like. I check my mail every day. I want to know who's writing me.
I'm a millennial.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm 96. August 96.
Oh my God,
right.
you're like in between.
My birthday's in a week.
Happy early birthday.
I wasn't. What?
I said August
12th. Thank you.
Happy early birthday.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, but thank you guys though for making this all happen. It was so much fun.
Well, we love you, and I'm so excited that this season has come out and that everybody loves you as much as we do. And like, again, this is to everybody too, like everybody who's come out, like we can't thank you guys enough for playing this season. And 2 years later, we are dredging up all of the emotional trauma, and it's so nice that everybody is
lots of therapy.
And we're gonna have some people from this season back for production on season 5. Like the family's getting back together, get in the car, we're going to Survivor, and I'm so excited that everybody is still like a big part of this community, and it makes me very happy. And Thomas, I can't thank you enough for joining us and being a fan of all of these incredible people. They deserve it.
Yeah, you guys do a really good job, and like your challenges are so elevated. As a host, I'm jealous.
So good.
Like so good. Honestly, such a great show.
Thank you so much for saying that, guys. It makes me feel really happy because I've like been stressing out every single day with the new season coming out and giving up all my time, giving up my summer. So to hear you guys say that makes me feel like I'm I'm gonna make people happy.
Yeah. It's awesome. Like it's such a close experience, or the closest thing I feel like you can get to like the real thing, and that means a lot.
Well, not only that, but Thomas, good news, you have a very close and personal friend who makes all of the challenges for this show, so maybe you can hit him up for some more challenges.
I know. Are you talking about you, or are you talking about Chris?
Christopher.
Chris, our relationship, we grew to friendship.
Chris is amazing.
I'm just kidding.
You're so mean. We've been friends for 7 years.
I literally showed Kai the video of you bitching me out when we did a live game together.
Thomas, I hate you.
You said that to me, Thomas?
I hate you, Thomas. How come I haven't even seen it, but Kai has seen it? Like, what the fuck?
It's intense. It's intense.
Can you just send me the clip?
I will send you the clip. I will send you the clip.
It's been 7 years.
I love Chris so much. Well, it's so funny because before doubt, Chris texted me and is like, my friend Thomas is going to be there. Like, I hope you like him. And then I was like, I love, like, after like 2 seconds, it's like, I love Thomas. Like, great taste. Here we go. Good friend. And it's so,
Yeah.
it's been so fun. I definitely DM me that clip. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And I just want to say that if you are ready for the finale, no, you're not, because I just watched part of it today at work, and it fucking rules. So we have 2 more episodes of Survivor New York. Friday, literally tomorrow at 8, less than 24 hours for the new episode, Final 7, and then the Final 6, aka the finale of Survivor New York, will be the Friday after this Friday, the 13th, nice and spooky for you. And we are getting ready for season 5. So the podcast about the finale will be after the 22nd of August. So stay tuned for those. Thomas, thank you so much for being here. We love you. We're so excited. Kai, I love you too. Thank you so much. And it's been so much fun, and I'm glad that you finally got to speak what was on your mind after so long in the comments. Comments that were so long they wouldn't even show up on the screen all the way. I'm so glad.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Awesome. And